think I'm spooky?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
What have you done to its eyes?
Good evening and welcome to Soft and Spooky. For today's video, we are going to be talking about a film that has been generating so much buzz lately, and it is called Sinners. I'm sorry this video has taken a little bit to come out. Honestly, April was a crazy month for me. It was my birthday month, as well as I got a promotion. Along with the promotion, it seems like every time I start a new job or a new position, I get sick like the first week. And so I got hit hard with a cold. So if you hear me kind of coughing like a dad, I'm sorry. It's just residual mucus. If you've never seen one of my review videos before, essentially the first portion is where I am going into spoiler-free thoughts. So if you wanted to get a general feel for the movie, you can get that and still be able to see it. And then the second portion of my video is filled with spoilers where I go a lot more in depth and talk about the ending. And yeah, you'll get plenty of heads up, so don't worry. I'll prevent you from getting spoiled. But yeah, with all that being said, let's sink our teeth in. This film is set in 1932 down in Mississippi, and it stars Michael B. Jordan playing a pair of twins. What's kind of cool is that to differentiate between the twins, they have Smoke wearing blue and then Stack wearing red, and I just love those two colors, so it was nice to help the audience kind of be like, okay, blue hat, that's that guy, you know? So the pair of twins return back to Mississippi from their business prospects in Chicago, and they aim to create this kind of juke joint for the community. Along for the ride, we have Sammy, who is the son of a preacher, and he longs to play the guitar and blues. The director for Sinners is named Ryan Coogler, and if that name sounds familiar, he has directed Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the Creed films, as well as Judas and the Black Messiah. This dude has such an impressive record of films, and I was really excited to see him dip his toes into the horror genre. First things first, I have to say the marketing for this film was brilliant. I mentioned it in my horror forecast video that I had done, but I feel like that trailer leaves so much to the imagination. There's a plane going by. The trailer does such a good job at keeping mystery, but also very much intriguing the audience. Additionally, the time and place for this specific genre of horror is very interesting to me, as well as there's this strong roots in music, specifically blues. I was hooked, and I was so excited to see what this film had to deliver. Towards the beginning, we're actually introduced to some Choctaw Native Americans, and I was very interested to see where they kind of tied into the plot, and that was one thing that I kind of wish we would have explored more. Especially with the way that the film, I'm like trying not to spoil anything, the way that the villain or our antagonist kind of ties in with the Choctaw, I thought that this could have been a very interesting concept to explore. In an interview, the director Ryan Coogler had mentioned that he wanted the movie to feel like a full meal. Your appetizers, starters, entrees, and desserts. I wanted it to be a holistic and finished thing. So I don't think he has any intention of creating a sequel to this, but like, I wouldn't mind a prequel. Just saying. Just saying. Wouldn't be mad at it. For me, the character building in this film was so well done. I mean, these people are fully fleshed out characters. For example, you kind of... residual mucus. For example, I love seeing some of the morality of these characters. Specifically, you see in one scene, Smoke, he's interacting with this young girl. He basically asks her, hey, can you watch my truck? I'll pay you 10 cents per minute that I'm gone. And she wholeheartedly agrees. She's like, oh, that's it? Okay, yeah. And then he says back to her, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't write down the quote, but he says, no, that's not good enough for you. Give me another number. and I think she says like maybe 30 or something like that, and he said, or 25, I think she said 25 cents per minute, and then he goes, 20 is the best I can do. And I love that he kind of is teaching this young character to advocate for herself, and it's something so simple, but it shows kind of the depth of his character, especially too because later on you just see that he's got two sides to him, essentially. And so it's very, I think that these characters were very well crafted. One random little thing that I have to mention, because I don't know if anybody else watches like with friends or acquaintances that they're not super close with, or maybe even family. Just giving you a warning, this movie's a little freaky sometimes. It has colorful dialogue centered around spicy content, and I think there are 2 sex scenes, maybe 3. Also, I have to say, and I don't think this is like a crazy spoiler, something about the year 2025, this is the year of guys being into girls drooling. I don't know what's up, but this is a second movie now. Okay, back to more serious reviewing points. I do have to say that the music is so influential to my enjoyment of this film. I think that it builds this rhythm that is just so infectious. It makes you so engaged in the film. If you were contemplating seeing Sinners, I would 100% recommend seeing it. Even if you're like, I don't know, give it a watch, because it is just filled with really great tension, action, and it has this soul to it that just, it feels like it is a passion project of Ryan Coogler. After coming out of the movie theater, I felt so energized, and there were these ladies that were coming out behind me, and I ended up also seeing them in the bathroom, and I just kind of wanted to corner them and be like, what did you think? Like, let's talk about this movie. And I don't know, it got me thinking, like, I would love for movie theaters to have like a little cafe area, and I could just set up a sign and be like, I just saw Sinners, or I just saw a blank movie. Let's talk about it. Because I don't know, it's like, even though I didn't go with these people, we all experienced something for the first time together. And I wish that would happen. And so I guess this is kind of my way of doing that. I can have this discussion in the comments. So feel free, stop by and leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts were on this movie. All right, so now we are ready to dive into spoilers in 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Let's first talk about some of the stuff that's a little bit smaller. As I mentioned before, I love the characters. Specifically, I wanted to shout out Delroy Lindo. He was so good. I mean, he was kind of the comedic relief in the film, and he nailed every delivery. I've seen him in other films, and it was just, I don't know, I felt like he was very playful in this film, and I really liked his character. Also, why is this man not voice acting? I was like trying to scroll through his IMDb. I don't think he has any voice acting credits, and just like, it is like butter to me.
It's profound. It is profound, but it's also a brilliant example of a people taking their pain and making art.
I think my only complaint is his character's fate. I am so sick of this trope of like, usually the most likable character is the one that sacrifices themselves, and, he cuts open his arm and distracts the vampires so that the rest of them can get away. And I'm just like, man, I think we could have brainstormed something a little better. Oh, by the way, they're vampires. That's the main antagonist of the film. I wasn't 100% sure if the rumors were going to be true about it being vampires, and so with the little bits of context from the trailer as well as the title, I was kind of brewing up some other ideas in my mind, specifically with the title being Sinners, and there's this folklore around blues music basically being the devil's music. Specifically, there are these legends around the blues musician named Robert Johnson. He was rumored to have sold his soul to the devil at a Mississippi crossroads so that he could get these musical talents. And he really adds like fire to the fuel to the flame? Gas? Cooking with gas. I don't know. He really adds on to these theories with the fact that he's got songs like Hellhound on My Trail, Me and the Devil Blues, and Crossroad Blues. It's like, okay, you sold your soul? With the title Sinners, I kind of thought we were going to get something along the lines of that story, and I still would have been happy. That's actually one of my favorite Supernatural episodes. I love that episode with like it's very much rooted in the whole blues music and goes over that legend, and I loved it. But instead, we make a left turn and we go into vampires, and it was just such a refreshing take. I loved the vampires that Coogler built in this world. I felt like it added so much more depth to the mythology of a creature that is honestly kind of saturated in the horror genre. I felt like the film actually made me think a little bit deeper about this creature. When our first vampire, Remick, is introduced, he is running from a group of Choctaw Native Americans, and he convinces this couple to let him inside to hide. We do come to find out that this very couple were actually planning to raid the juke joint that the Smoke and Stack twins were trying to open. I think that this is really significant because later on, when you see that many of the townspeople have been turned into vampires, there is a wide variety of races. And when you think about this couple, they were so filled with hatred that they were members of the KKK. And after they're turned, everyone shares the same memories. They share the same ideals and emotions and same feelings. And in a weird way, it kind of united everyone. I felt like this was really exemplified with Haley Steinfeld's character named Mary. So she was the ex-girlfriend of one of the twins, Stack. She had parents of two different races, and she was predominantly raised in a Black community. But due to the time period, she was pushed more towards marrying a white man because she was white passing. This lack of identity and kind of feeling like she belonged to neither community, neither the white or the Black community, it led to her being more susceptible to being drawn to this new community, which was the vampires. I don't know. I think I really appreciated that even though Mary was kind of a minimal character, she wasn't really one of the main characters. She was sort of secondary, kind of a secondary villain as well. But you see her motivations, you see her heartache, and she just felt like a living, breathing character. For me personally, and I think a lot of people can agree, let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I think a really big shining moment of this film is the music scene when Sammy first sings at the juke joint. This film just felt like a love letter to the connective and healing properties of music. Weaving through the film, there is this statement that music summons the past and the future. And I think that this is such an interesting concept when you think about how music nowadays is influenced by past music, and our music currently is going to influence the future. It builds these roots and all of these offshoots for new genres to be created, and I felt like that was such a refreshing concept to see, especially in a horror film. During this music scene, you're seeing this combination of visuals, and you also hear the effortless transition between the different periods of music. Like when you hear the future versions of the music, you hear this little twang on the original song that Sammy's singing. You hear these kind of like emphasis of electric guitar and synth. And then when he was passing the older generations, you hear a more broken down beat with the drums. And it was so well done. And the music mixing, bravo. Like, that was so good. I think there's also something to be said about some of the metaphors through the film. Like in one scene, they say the devil you know, and I feel like that's kind of mirrored towards the end of the film where you see Smoke has basically prepped a full artillery for these clan members that had planned to seize and, just kill everybody at the juke joint. I think that was kind of interesting just because that was the devil he knew. He was very familiar with racists, and that was a threat that was always looming. But what he didn't know is about the devil, with actual creatures, the vampires. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I felt like there was something there, right? Just me? I don't know. Additionally, there's kind of a visual metaphor going on there. My voice. Another kind of visual metaphor that happens towards the end is with Remick, the vampire. He is chasing Sammy and he's wading through the water to grab him as the sun is just about up, and he starts to catch on fire while he's in the water. And when you think about those are two opposite things, fire and water. And when you think about it, what are the main color representations of fire is red and water is blue? And those are the two colors that the Smokestacks twins wear. And so even further, they're twins, which is already kind of a duality. And you think about in previous previous representations of twins, it's the good twin and the bad twin. And I don't know, I felt like there was something going on there with that representation on how maybe he was a mixture of good and bad, and how sometimes even with the best intentions, he's killing people, he's turning people into vampires and stealing their lives. So I don't know, it was just very interesting to me. Jump scare. Okay, so I had to pop in here while I'm editing because damn, does this movie have layers. I was just grabbing some clips of Remick, or Remy, to make that stupid edit that I did earlier. And while I was on those videos, I saw recommended videos from other creators that were essentially saying that Remick was a racist character, and he was quite literally sucking the culture from all of the people that he meets. And it really had me thinking about his character in a different light, because I'm an optimist. I like to hope that people have the best intentions, but in seeing some of their videos, it got me thinking a little bit. So his initial claim was that with the couple that he first turns in the town, they were clan members and they were planning on raiding the bar the next day. And so basically in him turning all of the townspeople into vampires, he was saving the bar from meeting that fate. And honestly, after watching some of the other people's videos, it got me thinking kind of about the term white savior complex. Merriam-Webster's website cites the journalist Clarence Page as defining the term as a cinematic trope in which a white central character rescues non-white characters from some calamitous predicament, and the characters of color could not quite have overcome that on their own. This is especially interesting because when you think about it, at the end, Smoke proves that he was 100% capable of handling the clan members because he had a full artillery in the back of his truck ready to go. This idea just really opened up in my mind that we don't really know what Remick's true intentions were. And was he really trying to help these people out of the kindness of his heart and build a community? Or was he just trying to collect as many cultures and as many lives as he could along the way? I love when films like this, especially horror, can be interpreted in so many different ways. And I do kind of like that we don't really know what Remick's true intentions were. And it leaves it open to the viewer. And I don't know, seeing other people's opinions, I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And so it's just, I love horror. There is one point at the end that just really stood out to me. And basically, Sammy goes on to live a full life and he plays the blues and he's a famous musician. And you come to find out that there are a couple vampires that did survive and they come to see him. But they come because they just wanted to hear him play. I think that this is something that is definitely present in other vampire films where you see the tragedy of being a vampire is the fact that you outlive all of your loved ones and you outlive your old life. It's interesting to think about the fact that the time periods can be so far removed when you're a vampire that, you know, there's just no remaining aspect of what your old life used to be. At the end, Sammy says that before the sun went down, that was the best day of his life. And it was so beautifully crafted because you had seen all of these people that came together excited to be a part of something and to create this musical night. And you see the excitement on, I think it was Stack? Yeah, it was on Stack's face when he hears Sammy sing for the first time. And I thought it was so beautiful. I can't recommend it enough. You gotta go see it. So please go see Sinners. It really is worth the hype. I thought that it was just a really interesting, exciting movie, and I loved it. If you enjoyed this review, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps a small channel like mine in the algorithm. And while you're there, consider subscribing if you haven't already. I love to create a little community, a little vampire community. And I don't know, I'd love for you all to stick around. Additionally, if you're new here, feel free to leave a comment saying, hey, I'd love to yap it up in the comments with you. And with that, I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to stay soft and spooky. Bye.